This is Kayla.
And this is Becky, and we're with A Couple of Bees Read.
Yes, and we also have a weekly wine. Becky, what is the weekly wine?
This came in my Scout Circle this past week. It's Nico, which is a winery out of Chile. Mm-hmm. And it is their Sauvignon Blanc. It's a new wine, or a newer wine, very popular wine. I just love the way it smells. Wow. Man, that is very
refreshing.
Yes.
Lemon.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Pear?
Some pear. It has, it has a little bit of a spice in it, the acidity. Can you taste? Try again. No? Jalapeno.
Really? I would not have guessed that.
Yes. And then just very,
the smell, I can almost smell the jalapeno. Like, but I don't know how much is that.
It's herbs, but it almost has a smell of, like when you first cut the grass and then a little rain comes, mm-hmm. and it is just so fragrant. That's kind of what made me think of just a summer afternoon after the grass has been cut, and you get one of those late afternoon summer showers. Just very relaxing, very fresh. I love it, and I have to say, this is Sauvignon Blanc used to be my least favorite wine.
Mine too.
It really did.
Yeah.
And then with Scout and Cellar, I started. I would get it in my monthly Scout Circle. And I said, well, I'm just going to give it a chance,
And I remember the first time we tested one here, because we were both like, oh.
Because I was afraid I was not going to like it, and I thought, now how am I going to review this wine and I don't like it? And then I was pleasantly surprised.
Because the first Sauvignon Blanc I ever tried, it tasted to me like fingernail polish. Like, I couldn't stand it.
Yes, I remember eating out one evening and with some friends, and I got some, and then I was like, "Ooh, I did not like it." But this is totally different, and so I have developed a taste for it, and now, and I think it has a lot to do with our clean crafted process. We don't add things to it. We don't add sugar to it. We don't add artificial flavoring or coloring or anything. So this is the authentic taste of the grape. And so I really do think that has a lot to do with it.
I will say I've never had, other than the Scout and Cellar, I've never had another Sauvignon Blanc that I've enjoyed.
Me neither. I did not. So I love it. So check it out. And if you are a Sauvignon Blanc fan, this is an excellent choice.
And if you're not, this is the wine to try.
Yes.
Because it might change your mind.
Yes, it changed mine, for sure. What are we reviewing today?
So the book I'm reviewing is Burdens by Drew Kaiser, and tomorrow we are going to share our interview with Drew. Drew is an author I've known for a few years now, actually. We're part of the Birmingham Writers Workshop together, and I've been privileged to read a lot of his work that hasn't come out yet, and he's just such a brilliant writer. The way he describes scenes and even people, it's like reading poetry. It's so beautifully done, and there's so much depth to everything he writes. Recently, he's been working on a new novel, which we're going to talk about in the interview, and it's going to be one of my favorite reads, like, once it comes out. It's so well done.
I'm looking forward to reading it, and he was such a charming man, and just delightful. And I told him I said, I can tell I'm talking to a writer, because he made this statement about the giving advice, about read different people, and he said, see how they put the magic on the page. And I was like, oh, what a wonderful quote,
Yeah, he's
so
one of these, you talk to
interview.
him and you can just write down every quote he says.
That's right.
Brilliant. And Burdens, this is a collection of short stories that he wrote, and I was not part of the group when he was sending these in.
Okay.
So I was not familiar with them, but his novel that's coming out is set in the same world.
Right.
And it's... the world itself, it is magical realism. It reminds me a bit of like what I've read from Morocco, Middle Eastern times, things like that. And it's everything in this world is kind of steeped in myth and tales, and it's just so brilliantly constructed. And Burdens, let me see. So the quote at the beginning is the definition of burden: something that is carried, load, duty, responsibility, something oppressive or worrisome, a central topic, theme, chorus, refrain, archaic, something uttered, especially by God or a prophet. And many of these stories are centered around prophet type characters, like teachers, the old sense of the word prophet, the wise man in the village, the wise man on the hillside, like those type of things. And each story is in itself, and this is something Drew's able to do that I, as a writer, can't. He's able to weave in these themes in his stories that by the end, I feel smarter having read it, and I feel like I've learned a bit of a lesson, but it's not preachy.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like anytime I write and try to throw in a theme, it comes across like a sermon, and that's not what this is. It is, and no matter what your faith or religion or anti-religion is, I feel like these stories can connect to everyone because the characters are so well written that you can see yourself in them. The first story that I mentioned in that interview is about a man who sells antiques, and he is someone that in the first few minutes you can tell he is putting these antiques that he loves over other things in life. So even though there's a lot of other stuff that happens in that story, the lesson I got was you put people first, don't put things first. And when we talked about this in the interview, that was the theme I got, because that's something that I try to remind myself of, especially, obviously I covet books. We have a bunch of them, a little bit. So sometimes I have to remind myself, like, people are more important than my book collection. People are more important than XYZ. And I think everyone, to some extent, goes through that. Like, there's that thing that you love, be it books, be it quilts, be it, what have you, whatever you may be a fan of. Comic book movies are a big one. I feel like your TikTok following, your Instagram following, whatever that is that you cling to. But that is just a theme I got for it. And Drew said, I'm glad you got that theme. Wasn't necessarily what I was going for. But that's, I feel like, when you find brilliant writing, when everyone who reads it, yes, they can get the value of the story, but it might have a different value for them.
Because everybody's perspective is different, because your life and your circumstances and situations you've been in are all different. So you may see it in a different light. So
these are really brilliant, I wouldn't call them fantasy, I'd definitely call them magical realism stories that you can find a theme in them if you want. If not, you're just going to find characters that you can relate to and a story that's going to stick with you, that when you close the book at night, you're going to keep thinking about these. So I would definitely pick this up. It has some amazing illustrations throughout the book as well. So, and also Drew told us they've just released the paperback edition of this, so you can get it off Amazon. I got the hardcover, and it is absolutely beautiful, worth the price in my opinion. But we're gonna put a link here. Easy, a 5-star read. If you enjoy short stories, or even if you're in a position where you just haven't had a lot of time to read lately, because that's the position I've been in. Like, I've been doing so much research, I haven't had a lot of time to read. So picking up a short story, I'm like, okay, I can read this short story tonight.
Yeah.
And it's less, I guess, imposing than a novel.
Right.
So definitely, if you're at a point in your life where like summer started, my kids are home, and who has time to read?
That's it.
Grab a book of short stories. Mm-hmm. You will get your reading in, and you will learn a lesson. You'll have stories that stick with you, mm-hmm. and next thing you know, you'll be talking about this at your next dinner party because it is such a good read.
So and the link that will take you to it on Amazon will be in the comments, mm-hmm. and so we'll be in there. So y'all look it up.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.